And this is Kieran, and we are back in Blender, and I'm gonna kind of try and get right to work like I usually try and do. But as a quick note, I have officially decided if I'm not done with this landscape by the end of this episode, I am gonna go finish it off camera. And the only reason is I don't want to take up a whole bunch of time sitting here doing just this. So I'm sorry if you want to see everything. I probably will record it just in case somebody wants to see all of it, but I won't post it unless people ask for it. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to open up our toolbar and we're going to click the subdivide. And we're actually going to slide up here, and we can increase the smoothness, which it affects 100% smoothness. It makes it a little bit nicer of a landscape to work with now. It kind of looks a little bit more natural. Since it's only one subdivide, there's only so much it can do. And I think 100% right now would work really well, but if we get too much, you can see how that's a little hectic to all do at once. So we'll do it cut by cut. And we'll start using a little bit of the other things. I've mainly just used faces and vertices. I'll probably now, with so many things, probably use edges for a little bit of it, so I can kind of edit a little bit better. And at the end of this video, and what I'm probably going to start doing from now on, is I'm going to post one render shot of how it looks right now, and that will be attached onto the end of this video, so if you want to see it, it's going to be at the very end. So we're going to get right into this now, and I'm going to click off. I don't want everything selected now. And we're going to go for vertices. I kind of want to pull that vertex in a little bit, kind of make it a little bit more rounded edge, and then pull some of these back. So yeah, and if I'm doing what I'm assuming I'm doing, I actually haven't released any of the videos I plan on right now, and this is probably how it's been, is one a day. And if that's the case, that's what's going on, I should probably go over some minor things that, if you haven't seen any of the videos before now, since this is the fourth one in the series, you really need to go back. It's not something you can just jump into, because I'm not going to assume that you haven't watched it any, and I'm gonna assume that you remember like how to pan and stuff around the screen, rotate your screen around, and that's like crazy, and that's probably really not that good for what I was doing right there, and now YouTube's gonna yell at me, you have a shaky camera. I don't give an F. Okay, anyways, but so just as a note, people are wondering if I'm gonna go over like I did last time, panning and stuff. No, I'm not. I'm not gonna take the time to talk about it, because it's a lot of time, and I really don't want to spend all that time doing these things. But in less ominous, more important kinds of news is, since I really haven't been able to do anything, the big important thing that I want to talk about is actually getting the website together. If you noticed, if you've been to DBT Gaming, which is right now, I've spent money on the address. It's the address that will most likely be kept forever, as long as Dragonbone Tavern. And if you don't know what DBT is, really, DBT is something that me and Roken started together, and it's kind of just kept as our little, basically, brainchild, if you want to call it that. It's our little basic small-ish company that we've decided to make and work with, and so if you ever see me use DBT, it's generally meaning that it's both me and Roken. It's why the channel name isn't actually called DBT, is because this is meant to be my channel, though it may eventually, the way things are looking, it may evolve into just me and Roken together a lot, because I do like doing things more with him, and we play off of each other really well, and things generally tend to go better with both of us present. And I'm trying to see, that looks like that center ridge is like all the way up, is a little bit higher than the rest, and actually if I wanted anything, I want it lower. And so here's where I was actually talking about using this, and now it's a little bit easier to sometimes use edges. So we kind of want to put this a little bit down, and then we're going to do the same thing, so everything's kind of a nice slope, just to get it to where I kind of want it. So, the reason I bring up the website is it now does actually have stuff on it. It isn't like a fantastically made website. It's not something that I really did. It's just I get a free thing with my domain. If you're wondering where I got my domain, I got it through GoDaddy. I know I've had a couple people tell me that, you got it through GoDaddy, but I've known them in the past to be good, and it's nice hosting and all kinds of things. So, and their domain was really cheap when I bought it. I bought that thing for 2 years, and it's only $10. So, some of their deals are really, really good. Yeah, this is actually looking really nice. I don't really want to screw it up too much, because I don't want to, like, ruin what we have here. And I don't think I'm going to do that much. I may do one more subdivide, but I don't think I'd go for a second subdivision. Okay. And so I'm gonna... Nope. Okay, I was trying to see. And if you guys are wondering, no, I don't know, because I often make comments about things, I think it's this and then it doesn't end up. No, I'm not like a master at Blender. But I do know enough to obviously do this much of it, and if you really, really want to get into Blender, looking stuff up on the Blender website and things, and if you're just kind of watching this because you kind of want to see the process, you kind of want to see the behind the scenes, actually that's something I want to do. Whoops. Get this far through and then decide I actually want to do something else. Kind of want to deepen this ridge here. Okay. Just so when we get, and I really want to deepen that ridge. And then we're going to kind of, and this is where vertices sometimes come more in handy. So basically, actually, the difference between using vertices, edges, and faces is one controls 4 at once, so if you're moving a lot in the same direction, in the same manner, faces are the best. And edges are just, a little bit of it in between, and the vertices are specifically picking out one vertex to move it a specific way if you can't manage it with, you know, edges or faces, if it's just gotta be that one vertex. That's the only reason edges aren't actually used as often, at least not for what I'm doing. And I know there are a lot of uses to edges and things like that. It's not like they're not used. I use them more in Max though. Okay, I don't know if this is gonna screw anything up by clicking subdivide. Okay. Now, I actually think that looks pretty dang cool. Comparatively, it looks nice. It's a nice little landscape, and because of the fog, we really don't have to worry about further back. And since the back is higher than most of the rest of the geometry, you're not really you can assume that it kind of drops off a little bit. So, and add on to that our little fog thing, it should work pretty good. And I didn't actually want to do a translate, but I didn't actually move anything, so that's good. And that pretty much brings us to the end of working on this terrain. And if you're wondering why I subdivided the second time, even though I didn't actually move anything, it's just to smoothen out the land. And then eventually I want to add a texture to it. I want to probably add some foliage and stuff. I may not add the foliage right away. I may save the end plate and then I may go back and add it later, just to add it more of an actual feel that there's something there more than just these little 3 pillars. So, since we're gonna end pretty much this object, and then actually what we're gonna do, we're gonna go back, pull out, since we're specifically looking just at this thing right now, there's something that I do want to do. The subdivide smoothed it out a little bit more, but there's still more that I want to do, and you can use these here, and there should be somewhere here a deform smooth, and this just really kind of puts in the final, you know, we're smooth, you know, like, and let's, yeah, as you see, the higher your factor, you really don't want to go much past, like right there. You can see that that looks like a really smooth, but I don't know if I actually want to use smooth. It really all depends, because it's not really meant to be a big, huge lit area, so it's supposed to be kind of dark, so the more vertices and things, the longer it actually will take. So I don't think I'm actually going to add anything, like any modifiers, but I kind of wanted to show this a little bit. And you can do things like subdivision surfaces here, and then look, it looks a little bit better. But again, I don't think I want to do that, because it is fairly nice right now. There's really no need, and it's a lot more polygons to worry about, which means a lot more time before this end plate is completely rendered. So, we're gonna actually start, but not really do much, with the one of the pillars. And unlike how I did this the first time, I'm not actually just going to copy them and change them a minor bit. I'm going to make them each, I may copy them, but they're each going to be very individualized, unlike last time. They were meant to be looking similar in a certain way, you know, 4 pillars that all look the same that were slowly kind of destroyed. And sometimes having ideas like this help with the build process. Now, I'm literally just starting out with the cube, and then I'm probably actually going to pull this up here to work on it, just so I'm not interfering with that geometry. And then I'm going to kind of slide my camera around so we're kind of in line with that cube so I can kind of rotate around it easy. Right now we're gonna be in kind of close. I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger because that is seriously tiny. We want it all. So we want this entire cube. And kind of putting that in context, is that big enough? Actually, yeah, that should be fine. If we need it bigger, we can make it bigger later. And we're gonna also right now really take use of one of the features of Blender of we're gonna take one of these and we're actually gonna use extrude region. What this allows me to do is now I can add basically another cube on top, and it will allow me to easily make things that you really can't do with just subdivide. And most people who have used things like actually any 3D modeling software would understand what extrude does. And the fun thing is as you can see, I can subdivide and not actually put lines on every side. I'm not actually going to do that because I have no use to subdivide right now. I'm just gonna kind of work here with this little thing, and slowly, I may just work here, because the big point here is to get this to look kind of pillar-ish. And then we're gonna, and here's really where edges work, and because it does matter that I use edges, because you really can't get this. You could do it with vertices, you can't really do it with faces. So there we go. And that's not like perfect. I wouldn't even dare call that exceptional, but it's a good starting place, and I'm actually going to extrude another region down to make it a little bit wider. And then a last region down, to really actually make it a little bit smaller, to kind of give it that little bit of a bevel. Pull it in a little bit. So it kind of resembles the original towers that I had in the other video. I didn't really actually know what I was doing with the original towers. I kind of started, I had this idea, putting 4 towers would be kind of cool, and it'd come out and the words came out of the mist, and then you'd have these panes. Originally I actually planned on putting video on those panes individually, but that was so much of a pain because they didn't exactly move regularly, so I would have had to sit there just about every frame and every second and place it. Okay, so sorry about that. I had people walking in on me. Nah. But actually, I'm gonna pretty much end this here. It's a good base for the Blender. For the Blender. No, for the little tower that we're gonna do. And then we're eventually gonna make some more of these, and we're gonna flesh out how this looks first and kind of decide, and then most of the textures I will do off screen, and thankfully we got done with this terrain. Hopefully the terrain looks some reminiscent of good. I know right now with the lights kind of all buzzing around it, is there like solid? It is a solid textured. There. That's actually what it looks like with the color and everything. I'm actually probably gonna turn down that light because it's kind of bright. It's a lot brighter than I want it. So hopefully this all looks good, and I'm gonna turn off texture and go to just a solid, you can go bounding box, that shows you really nothing. And then you can see things in wireframe if you really kind of want to get rid of all the worry of, you know, this looks weird. And this is actually what the wireframes look like and how it divides some things. I don't know particularly why we're missing some lines. I really don't. But we are. Anyways, solid's what it defaults to and generally is a good work. Your pivot point is actually at a median point. I don't exactly know why you would change your pivot point. You can make it on the 3D cursor, so for instance, for me it would be on 0, 0, 0. And where you snap things, you can snap on increments or other things. I don't know why I'm kind of going over this bottom bar, but I really hadn't talked about this bottom bar, so I kind of wanted to go a little bit into it. But so this is what we've kind of ended up with, and I'll do a render of it and everything and make it look nice.